How should Christians respond to government? Governments run on power, people exercising authority in one form or another. Sometimes that authority is oppressive. Sometimes it's helpful. Those under it may agree or they may rebel. History is full of examples of both. But one truth stands above all. Earthly rulers come and go. The only one who reigns forever is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. As Christians, that shapes our mindset. We think differently than the world thinks. Paul says in Colossians 3:1 and 2 that we set our minds on things above, where Christ sits on his throne. Our true citizenship is in heaven. Still, while we're here, we shine as lights in a crooked and twisted generation. That said, we don't ignore what's happening around us. We seek to be a positive influence wherever God has placed us. Jeremiah told the exiles to seek the welfare of the city where they lived. In the same way, we care about our communities, but we never forget, our first allegiance is to Jesus Christ. No earthly government can take his place. Now, when we look at governments throughout history, rulers were often monarchs. Today, many of us live under governments where we get a voice in who's in power. But whether or not we choose to participate in that process, one thing is clear. We are Christians first. Everything we do, even voting or civic engagement, must be done under the principles God gives us, because Colossians 3:24 says, "It is the Lord Christ whom you serve." The overarching principle is simple. Trust God. Psalm 118 says, "It is better to take refuge in the Lord than to trust in man. Better to take refuge in the Lord than to trust in princes." And Psalm 146 reminds us, "Do not trust in princes, in mortal man, in whom there is no salvation." Rulers will not save us. Only God saves. With that in mind, here are some biblical principles for how we relate to governments and leaders, because while Christ's kingdom is not of this world, we still live in a world where kingdoms and rulers rise and fall. Number one, God's kingdom stands forever. The kingdom of God is not harmed by any election or administration. Daniel 2:44 reminds us that his kingdom will never be destroyed. Earthly kingdoms exist only by his mercy, not the other way around. Number two, rulers rise and fall by God's will. Daniel 4:35 reminds us, he does according to his will. No one can ward off his hand. Even Nebuchadnezzar had to learn this. We may not always understand why someone comes to power, but we can understand that God is still in control. Number three, pray for leaders. 1 Timothy 2:1 and 2 calls us to pray for rulers, whether we agree with them or not. Pray for justice, humility, and for them to seek the Lord. Prayer helps us live quiet, godly lives. Number four, honor those in authority. Christians are not called to be insurrectionists. 1 Peter 2:13 through 17 says to honor the emperor. That doesn't mean endorsing everything, but it does mean showing proper respect and submitting where appropriate. Number five, guard your words. Jude 9 reminds us not to speak evil or bring railing accusations. Critique actions and policies, yes. Call sin what it is, yes. But do so with dignity and respect, not with slander. Number six, love your neighbor, including your enemies. People who disagree with us politically are still made in God's image. That doesn't mean everyone is right with God, but it does mean that we treat others with love and grace. Romans 12:18 says, "So far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all." Number seven, glorify God above all. Administrations change, policies change, but every person will one day stand before the judgment seat of Christ. Knowing this, we persuade others to be reconciled to God. In the meantime, we live as lights in a dark world. Governments will always rise and fall. Leaders will come and go. But Christ reigns forever. So let's not get swept up in fear, anger, or misplaced hope. Instead, let's keep our eyes fixed on the true King and live in such a way that even in the midst of a crooked generation, the world sees his light shining through us.